After playing 1 year of professional basketball, these are the lessons that I've learned. If it isn't broke, then don't fix it. I'm literally living out my dream to try to stay where your feet are. My name is Xavier Dussel, and I just played my first professional season playing for BK Liepaja, which is in the beautiful country of Latvia. And what I have here is written down the 10 things that I feel like I've learned the most through my first year experience playing professional basketball. So my first lesson that I have written down here is to live and do everything for God. And what that means in a more general sense is just to give all the glory to God in every single thing that we do. For me, obviously I play basketball, so good game, good practice, bad practice. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and everything can be looked at as a lesson or like it's trying to teach you something. And ultimately, I just give the glory to God for every single thing, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, or indifferent. I wouldn't be here without God and my faith, so ultimately, I just give all the glory to Him. Lesson number 2 is to free yourself up from the outcome, which generally means it's easier for me to enter more of a flow state if I'm not focused on the outcome, if I'm not focused on making or missing a shot, rather than just trying to get a good shot, or focusing on making a turnover, or trying to make the right play, or whatever the case may be, instead of just playing the game and doing what I've done ever since I was a little kid. I feel like I free myself up a lot mentally by relieving myself of some of that pressure, reminding myself that it is just a game and that there's so much more to life than just basketball. A good game, a bad game, a good practice, a bad practice, it doesn't define who I am as a person. And so that's been able to free me up a lot mentally. Like I mentioned before, leaning heavily into my faith has helped me a lot. Knowing that ultimately I'm saved by Christ, and that basketball game, like I said, does not determine who I am, because I know who I am in the eyes of God. The next lesson that I have written down is to lean into the community. And mainly what that means is just to embrace your surroundings. Right now I'm in Latvia, like I said, and so ever since the first day I got here, I've done everything that I can to try to dive into the community, get to know the people that I'm around, try to get to know the culture, the food, because ultimately this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, a true blessing. And so I just want to take full advantage of it and give into the community just as much as they've given it to me, embracing me, welcoming me here into their country and into their culture. And so I try to get to know the people in this place as much as I can. The next lesson that I have written down is to not get too high or to not get too low. In a basketball sense, there's going to be highs and lows to a season. So I feel like it's important mentally to not try to get too high or not get too low. When you have a good game, when you have a bad game, to just try to stay as even-keeled as possible mentally through the ebbs and flows of a season. And I also feel like this just applies to life, because a lot can happen to you throughout the course of your life, good and bad. And I think it's just important to try to stay as even-keeled mentally as possible. The next lesson that I have written down is to stick to your routine. And for me, I have a very specific routine when it comes to game days that I stick to almost to a T, whether we're on the road or at home. But also just in daily life, having a routine I feel like is so important, just to give you a sense of control over your environment in a world where you have little control of a lot of things. And so to have that kind of ritual and way to have some order to your day or to your life, I feel like is very important to just help you stay sane mentally, to help you stay on course every single day, having a goal in mind, or small victories that you can check off throughout the course of the day. So I feel like that has really helped me through this first season. The next lesson I have is to lean into your support system. For me, that heavily relies on FaceTimes and calls back home with my family, with my girlfriend, with former teammates, to hear their experiences, to just talk about basketball from another perspective, and it just helps me a lot to kind of have that sense of attachment to where I come from in the world that I'm familiar with, because you can get homesick at times, and so being able to reach back out to those people and have that sense of connection with them, I feel like has been really important for me, just for my mental health, and to not feel so lonely at times, to know that there are people out there that care about you, that want what's best for you, and ultimately want to see you succeed. The next lesson that I have written down is to stay where your feet are. I feel like that's really important, especially, when you're playing overseas basketball. You're probably missing home. You're probably worried about the next game. You're probably worried about the last game. You're probably worried about A, B, C, and D. The list can go on and on. And I think it's really important to try to stay where your feet are as much as possible mentally, for your own sanity. Just try to really embrace, your current situation. Try to embrace where your feet are, and ultimately give the glory to God, because for me personally, I've always dreamt ever since I was a little kid to play professional basketball. And so to be able to do that today, I'm literally living out my dream, my prayers, and everything I've ever asked for. So I feel like I should try to embrace the journey as much as possible, not try to look too much into the future, too much into the past, and just try to stay as present as possible through this incredible experience. The next lesson that I have written down is to stick to what works. It sounds simple, but in a basketball sense, I feel like sometimes we try to do things out of our comfort zone or out of our wheelhouse. And what I've found success in is, if it isn't broke, then don't fix it. So just stick to what works. Stick to the shots that you can make. Stick to what you're good at. Stick to your strengths. There's no reason to try to prove to anybody, how you've improved on your weaknesses, or to try to, show somebody that you can do something that ultimately you're not that great at. For me, I'm primarily a shooter, so shooting is what I do best. So why try to do anything else when that's my biggest strength? And so, of course, throughout the course of the season, you try to get better, and you try to, improve things to your game, as well as during the summertime, you do those things. But for me, I found a lot of success in just repeatedly doing the same things that I have found success in. The next lesson that I have written down here is to ask more questions. I try to be a lifelong learner, and so I feel like asking more questions, especially in a situation and in an environment that is not exactly my comfort zone. I just want to learn as much as I can about my team, about my community, about the people I'm around, about overseas basketball as a whole. And I have found that gives me just a lot of good insight into what I'm actually a part of, and the bigger picture of it all, and just how much of a blessing it is to be in the position that I'm in. Last but not least, the 10th lesson that I have here is just to humble yourself. I just think it's really important to realize that you don't have it all figured out, that there's still so much more to learn, still so much more to get better at, still so much more in the journey of basketball and the journey of life to discover and to get to know. And so I just feel like it's important to humble yourself and realize that, you're not all that you think you are, but you're also, not nothing. And so just to remain humble and to remain a lifelong learner, remain coachable, and to ultimately give all the glory to God.